a book about 5 years ago. It became a bestseller, and it still didn't make any money, but it also became a movie recently, and that's good. It's a story about identity. My story is that 9 years ago, I found out from a complete stranger that I was adopted at the age of 54 years old. Yeah, laugh away. So that was a blessing for me. I found out that I was adopted, and then I was driving my cousin Janie home. Janie is the matriarch of our family. She sits at the head of the table for Thanksgiving and Christmas, all the kids' birthdays. It's not a family celebration without Janie there, my cousin. I was driving her home after one of my grandson's birthdays, and I said, Janie, I found out a couple weeks ago that Mom and Dad weren't actually my mom and dad, and if you can ever tell me anything, please do. And she turned to me and said, Tom, I don't know how to tell you this, and I'm sorry, and I hope you can forgive me, but I'm your mother. But Jeannie is a Mohawk from Ganawage. My father was a Mohawk from Ganawage. I grew up thinking I was a big, puffy, sweaty Irish guy. I'm actually a Mohawk from Ganawage. So as life makes these turns, you know, we have to pay attention. When I say we, I just mean if anything like this happened to you, and maybe you have a story similar to this, it's kind of our job to pick up from the pile of lies that you've lived in all your life and lead with truth, but most of all, to lead with love to all the people around you and everybody you meet. And that's how I want to conduct my life. So my job is to learn from my friend Phil Davis, who came out here and made this room so much better with his drumming and singing tonight. My job is to get trees planted down in Ganawage, where the 1991 Oka crisis happened. My job is to start a scholarship at McMaster University for Indigenous students that's launching next year. My job is to start a conversation in this country and not point fingers. It's just to open up the ability for us to be able to start talking, because I grew up in this country. I still feel it's the greatest country on the planet. But every once in a while, a country has to look in the mirror and have to look at its past, just know where we came from so that we can heal together and that we can love one another openly. We can make this a better planet. I also ended up, believe it or not, getting arrested for the first time in my life at the age of 60 for bringing food out to the land defenders at 1492 Landback Lane. The mayor of Caledonia said that these were terrorists. When I went out to 1492 Landback Lane, saw people hanging out, cooking, taking care of one another, a bunch of kids playing lacrosse in a field. Those were the terrorists that the mayor of Caledonia was trying to tell us should be stopped. So I'm going to do a little reading, we're going to do a little song here. But most of all, let's just make sure that we have the ability in our hearts to make this a better planet by loving one another every day. I was born into a racial no man's land created by colonialism. Some called my circumstances the 60s scoop, where indigenous children were robbed from their families and placed in white homes off reserves. I roamed amongst the settlers, undetected in my rape-colored skin, what is referred to these days as white passing features. The mohawk had been wiped clean from me. I was wearing a disguise that got handed to me. I was too young and unaware to even know that I was wearing it. Decades before, my mother was sent to day residential school, where from the age of 6 years old, she was asked to stand up daily with the other Mohawk children of Ganawagi. Take a good look around the room. Take a good look at one another, because what you're doing is looking at the last Indians that this world is ever going to know. My mother believed that she was one of the last Indians, and she told us this story on her 80th birthday around the table with me, her son, with my 2 children, her grandchildren, and with my 2 grandsons, her great-grandchildren. That's 4 generations of Mohawks, so she was not the last Indian. She was a survivor. We're all survivors. And through her, we stand as victims of this country's greatest sin. Canada's attempt to kill off the entire Indigenous population is one of the grossest and most inhumane sagas in the history of this planet, and it continues today. We Indians, my mother, my ancestors, have been overcoming hatred at the hands of colonialism for around 700 years. So tell me, what is reconciliation supposed to look like in this new world? Well, it looks just like this. It looks like me talking to you, and after this show, going out to the lobby and getting you a chance to talk to me. So now it's time to create a world together. A world that does not need the word reconciliation. Let us create a world where we don't have to apologize to our grandchildren and great-grandchildren for what we didn't do to make this a better world.